Donald Trump has posted an AI-generated...
Of President Trump as the Pope.
Who should replace Pope Francis? President Trump said that he would like to be Pope.
I'd like to be Pope. That would be my number one choice.
President Donald Trump of the United States of America is in the news, as usual, for something outrageous. The latest is his posting an AI-generated photo of himself in the attire of the Pope, as the Pope has just died and a new Pope is about to be elected. And his portrayal of himself as the Pope has understandably drawn the ire of Roman Catholics. In particular, it's quite a contrast because, at least theoretically, the Pope is supposed to be a symbol of religiosity, purity, piety, and leaders, political leaders of the world are practically expected to be wheelers and dealers, diplomatic, you can't trust them, ulterior motives, and so on. And with Mr. Trump being as unpredictable as he is, you never know. Maybe he's thinking when his term as the president is over, he can get in line to be the Pope. Pope Donald I, or Pope Trump, or whatever.
A lot of people are saying, Donald, you're the most amazing guy. You're brilliant, you're handsome, you're rich, you have everything going. The world is waiting for you to be president. So why are you hosting Saturday Night Live? Why? And the answer is, I have really nothing better to do.
Anyway, semi-humorous thoughts aside, or is that called black humor? How about it? Maybe it's a good idea that the leaders of nations should be saintly people. Well, how is that possible in all the way the world is today? It's not good to be good. To be powerful, you have to be tough guy who is out for the good of his country and ready to deal with all the other tough guys who are out for the good of their countries. And there's a lot of dirty stuff. Some of it comes out in public and a lot of it doesn't. But how about that? Wouldn't the world be a better place if the leaders, not only political, but in all spheres, were actually religious, actually God-fearing? Is it possible? If you have to wield power, you have to punish. Because not everybody's going to be saintly. You have to manipulate, at least to some extent. Diplomacy has to be there. The two things seem to be completely contradictory, opposite roles. The Vedic ideal is of a Rajarshi, a Raja, a king, who's also a Rishi, a saintly person. Not a saintly person in the manner of a sadhu who lives in the forest or detaches himself from the world and has very little possessions, but he's saintly and at the same time a king. How is that possible? He has to punish. That's one of the duties of a king. If a king or a leader is weak, then the rogue elements will proliferate. He has to be strong to curb criminals and those who will act in an irreligious manner, inhumane manner, if the leaders are weak, if they don't show power. But the Vedic ideal of a Rajarshi is that he's saintly, but saintly in a manner suitable for a king, like Maharaja Yudhishthira. Famously, Maharaja Yudhishthira's one younger brother, Arjuna, wanted to quit an impending battle against the forces of evil because Arjuna thought it wouldn't be good for him to fight. But Krishna told him that for you, as a leader of men, it's your duty to fight, to curb the irreligious elements. So it's a good combination if you can have a saintly person who's also a king, but saintly in a different way to those who are detached, totally detached from the world. They should act under the guidance, the Rajas, the kings, or they're called Kshatriyas, those who protect the citizens from harm. they should act under the guidance of brahmanas, persons who are deeply learned in scripture, deeply dedicated to cultivation of godly qualities. They should act under the guidance of such brahmanas and administer the state in that way, with the understanding that the leader of the society has to act, if he's going to discharge his duty in the best possible way, he has to act not thinking himself the master, but understanding himself to be a servant of God who's been given this position by God in order to protect the citizens and guide them in such a way that they can also, within their respective positions, either as intellectuals or priests or administrators like himself, or merchants or farmers or artisans or workers or housewives or whatever they are, the king's duty is to guide the whole society, maintain the peace in such a way that people can utilize their human life for cultivating God consciousness. Now, there is the idea that there should be separation of church and state. Previously, in the Western world, as well as in India at least, the king was understood to be a representative of God, and he should act under the guidance of the priests, of the church. Nowadays, there's separation of church and state because it's thought that there's too much power concentrated in one person. But again, the Vedic system, there are two levels of leadership. One is the king, who exhibits administrative functions using power as necessary, and the brahmanas, who personally, they don't have wealth, they don't have administrative power, but they simply guide the kshatriyas from their position of advanced God realization. Personally, I don't think it's such a good idea to have Pope Donald, and probably he doesn't, who knows what's in his mind, who knows what's in anyone's mind. He probably isn't thinking of that either. It's some kind of joke, you could say. But it could lead us to think, wouldn't it be so much better if the leaders of mankind were actually saintly and God-realized? Is that possible? Yes, it's possible. That requires training, that requires understanding of the purpose of life. First of all, train persons who are fit to lead society, both intellectually and spiritually on one hand, and practically administratively on the other. Although we're not looking forward to having a Pope Donald, we would like to see good representatives of Lord Rama and Lord Krishna to give proper guidance to all of human society.
I had nothing to do with it. Somebody made up a picture of me dressed like the Pope, and they put it out on the internet. That's not me that did it. I have no idea where it came from. Maybe it was AI, but I know nothing about it. I just saw it last evening. Actually, my wife thought it was cute. She said, "Isn't that nice?"
My question about
Actually, I would not be able to be married, though. That would be a lot. I'd have to the best of my knowledge, popes aren't big on getting married, are they? Not that we know of, no. I think it's the fake news media that, they're fakers.